Hey guys, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and update 920 just hit the test server yesterday evening, and I have to say, it's one of the biggest content updates to ever hit World of Tanks. We have a whole new line of Chinese tank destroyers, a revitalized French tank destroyer tech tree, at least with the upper tiers. All three top tier tanks, tier 8, tier 9 and tier 10 have got autoloaders. In addition, it looks like 30 versus 30 random battles at tier 10 is also going to arrive with the 920 update. There also have been significant changes to the way that the ranked seasons of play will work. 12 new vehicles in high definition quality and countless balance updates to some of your favorite vehicles in World of Tanks. This video is going to let you know everything there is to know about the upcoming 920 update, how you can be ready for it, what to look out for, and so you can get the most out of your game in the next patch. But just before I begin, please keep in mind this is going to be a 920 update overview video, and stay tuned to the channel as I will be releasing subsequent individual videos to really go into the nitty-gritty details. So firstly, let's take a look at probably the biggest thing that will be happening in update 920, and that is a full line of Chinese tank destroyers, stretching from tier 2 up until tier 10. And just like their medium tanks and their heavy tanks, there's no doubt that Chinese tank destroyers have a very high influence of Soviet tank design. The first 5 vehicles along the tree all have very thin armor indeed, and they're pretty much going to be getting overmatched by equal and higher tiered opponents. They also all have rather low caliber guns. Take a look at this 100mm that will be on a tier 6 vehicle, for example. But there are other characteristics such as DPM, penetration, accuracy and aim time. Well, they're not half bad, and they usually outperform the Soviets a little bit. It's not until you reach tier 7 where things really start to change. Now you have 70mm of well-angled frontal armor with the T-34 2G FT, and this vehicle is rather mobile as well, able to go at 50 km/h forwards. Its traverse speeds aren't too bad, and it finally gets a fairly okay kind of gun for a tier 7 tank destroyer. But it's when you reach the high tiers that things just start to get a little bit crazy. Look at this beast. This is the WZ-111-1FT, and this vehicle is starting to pack 180mm of frontal hull armor and 130mm main armament that is kind of comparable with the gun on a Jagdtiger. Things get even more scary as you reach tier 9. As we can see here, it looks like the world's fattest ISU-152, and this thing has a tier 10 tank destroyer gun at tier 9, as well as 200mm of frontal armor and 80mm of side armor and a good old slab of hit points. 1,800 at tier 9. That's not quite a tortoise, but it's very decent. And this WZ-111 GFT certainly looks like it could be one of the most brutal tanks hitting at tier 9. But it's not until you reach tier 10 that you start to get some, what I would say, super heavy armor. This thing has 230mm of frontal hull armor, and it improves upon the gun that you were using at tier 9 with okay aim time, okay accuracy, not brilliant for a tank destroyer though, but that full 750 alpha that you will be accustomed to with all of the tier 10 tank destroyer guns, decent high explosive rounds with 1100 alpha, and I pen anything heat ammunition with 395mm of penetration. This vehicle truly is going to be a bit of a bruiser, and with 6 degrees of gun depression, if this vehicle can hide the lower part of the hull and make sure its opponents are not above it, it looks like it's going to be one of the best trading and brawling tier 10 tank destroyers in the game, and it's not quite as slow or immobile as the Jagdpanzer 100, for example. Now moving on, there have been significant changes to the top tier French tank destroyers starting at tier 8. Everybody will know that the AMX AC-48 had a single shot 120mm main armament. That has been changed to an autoloader with a 3-round magazine. That means that this vehicle is going to be able to deal 1,200 damage in under 5.5 seconds from the first shot, and it's going to be able to do so fairly accurately with 0.37 dispersion at 100 meters and decent aim time of 2.7 seconds. Moving up to tier 9, the AMX 50 Foch receives a similar treatment, getting the same gun that you can use on the AMX AC-48, but instead you can carry 4 shells in the magazine, giving this tank a potential damage of 1,600 damage within 7.2 seconds of the first shot, and it can do so fairly accurately with 0.35 dispersion at 100 meters and 2.5 seconds aim time. Next up, there has been a big change at tier 10. The AMX 50 Foch 155 that all of you will have been accustomed to is now a reward tank, as you can clearly see here. And what that means is that you can use your French tank destroyer crews in this vehicle without penalty and get some accelerated crew training on them. Now, to be able to get your hands on this vehicle, you must have purchased the AMX 50 Foch 155 before the release of update 920, which I guess is probably going to be in about 3 or 4 weeks from now. And while it's certainly something that you wouldn't want to miss out on, if you can't make it, don't worry, that's because the Tier 10 French tank destroyer replacement, the AMX 50 Foch B, is an absolute monster. The magazine size increases massively as you make the step up to Tier 10 from Tier 9. Now you hold 6 rounds in the magazine of 120mm ammunition, and the delay between the shots reduces to 2 seconds. That means that within 10 seconds of the first shot, you could deal 2,400 damage to your opponents. And the time to reload that magazine isn't all that bad. It's 38 seconds base, and I'm sure with good crew skills, vents, and maybe if you want to use coffee and croissants, you could really start to push that number down. And when you combine that with 0.34 accuracy and 2.3 seconds aim time, the fact that the vehicle also has increased gun depression to 6 degrees and better side armor than ever, now 80mm of side armor, it's looking like the Tier 10 French tank destroyer is going to be back with a vengeance. Now let's talk about Wargaming's new 30 vs 30 game mode, which they are calling Grand Battle. And players will be happy to see that the statistics that you earn in Grand Battle will be different from the random queue. And just like the Encounter and the Assault game mode, you can activate or deactivate your chance of being put in a Grand Battle by using the checkbox in the settings. One thing that's very interesting is Wargaming says, at least on the tooltip here, that you're going to be able to complete personal missions and receive all the rewards relevant for random battles inside the Grand Battle game mode. And furthermore, that you're going to be able to earn bonds. That's absolutely brilliant news for anyone who doesn't want to take part in the ranked game mode. And so this means that everybody's going to have a chance to be able to earn and purchase and use the improved equipment. Well, at least everyone with a Tier 10 tank and a lot of time on their hands. Currently on the 920 test server, the 30 vs 30 battles can only occur on a single map, and that is Nebelberg, and the map is 1.4 by 1.4 kilometers big, which means that the map's total area is 1.96 kilometers big, i.e. twice the size of the largest current map in World of Tanks. Now it should be noted that I've previewed this map before, back in May, and it was designated at the time as Sunny Valley. And so if you've watched that video, you'll more or less know all of the intricate details about the map. Since then, let me highlight a few of the changes. The whole of the middle has kind of been made harder to get up to. Previously, you'll remember there were ways up the slope here, and the center wasn't quite such an isolated arena as it is now. Now it kind of resembles something more like Mines, although there are more ways to get up onto here, unlike Mines itself. The town also, as we can see here, has been substantially thickened out, and so there's more room for urban combat to take place for your heavier vehicles and tank destroyers. While the southeast parts of this map doesn't really feel like there's been too many changes, and what we have is a lovely open undulated terrain where tanks with good turrets and gun depression and hopefully some mobility to be able to flank around and actually make it through the field going through choke points are going to reign supreme. Interestingly enough, in the top part of the screen you can also see health bars of either team. Now of course, if it's 30 versus 30 combat, it can be immensely confusing as to trying to keep tabs as to who is actually winning. And so this is a nice feature so you can see if you're overall losing on hit points and whether it's time to do something to try and turn the tide of battle. And it's really looking like this 30 versus 30 game mode should add a nice amount of variety at tier 10. And the best thing about the feature, of course, if you don't like it, just go here and uncheck it and then you don't have to play it. And all of the statistics are counted in a separate part. Now let's talk about some of the upcoming changes to the next season of Ranked Battles, or shall we say the first season of Ranked Battles, as the one that everybody played was a beta and testing season. Firstly, they're changing the number of chevrons it requires to be able to gain the different ranks. To be able to get rank 1, you're still only going to have to get 1 chevron. Next, you're going to have to be able to get a streak, so to say, of 3 chevrons, because remember, you can lose them if you're on the losing team. To be able to get rank 3, you're going to have to get 5 chevrons in a row, rank 4, 7, and rank 5, i.e. to become the general, you're going to have to get 9 chevrons in a row this time, whereas previously I think it was 7. Now, increasing the amount of chevrons to gain rank 5 should prevent players from frankly just getting lucky to be able to reach there. The chances of winning 9 games in a row where you haven't really been that influential and swayed the battle in the favor of your team is much less than, for example, getting 7 chevrons in a row. But this really isn't the big change in my opinion. The biggest change is with how Wargaming are going to reward chevrons. Previously in the ranked battle mode, the top 12 players based on experience on the winning team gained chevrons, and the 3 players at the bottom of experience on the winning team did not gain but did not lose chevrons, while 3 players on the losing team gained and the 12 players below them lost chevrons. What this effectively meant is that the winning team team gained 12 chevrons between them and the losing team lost 9 chevrons between them. What this meant is that the chevron system was positive, i.e. for every game of World of Tanks ranked battles that were played, 3 extra chevrons were distributed, I guess, amongst the players who participated in the battle. And the result was, when players played hundreds or thousands of battles, eventually they would probably make their way up the ranks unless they were really having a bad impact. Wargaming are changing this next patch. Now only the top 10 players on the winning team will gain a chevron, while the 5 players at the bottom will neither gain nor lose. While now the losing team, the top 3 players, well, they don't gain chevrons at all, but at least they don't lose them. And the 2 players below them in 4th and 5th place on experience will no longer lose chevrons. But what this effectively means is, while as previously 12 chevrons were awarded to the winning team, only 10 are going to be rewarded. And while previously 3 were awarded to the top players and 12 were taken away from the bottom players, now just 10 are going to be taken away from the losing team. And this effectively makes the system chevron neutral. Now, Wargaming's goal with this is to try and get players to play actively, not to just hide at the back, and make sure that you get in those all-important top 3 spots to still be able to gain a chevron. And God forbid that you finished in 4th, because that's just absolutely brutal. You're 2 behind what you would have been if you were in 3rd. And their reasoning for this is it will try and encourage players to win rather than just lose gracefully. But we'll just have to wait and see how the players respond and how the metas of ranked change. Next up will be music to the ears of players like me who really disliked some of the boosting positions in World of Tanks, and Wargaming have made terrain-related changes for difficult to access areas on the following map: Karelia, Steppes, Lakeville, Abbey, Mines, Sacred Valley, Mountain Pass, El Haluf, and Arctic region. But there are 2 key boosting positions that I can see that they haven't really addressed. What about the one on Redshire, where people sit on top of that hill and protect the cap circle, and also on Swamp, but we'll have to see if those 2 are addressed as well. Next up, let's take a look at some of the high definition tanks coming in update 920. This is the Su-5, a tier 4 Soviet self-propelled gun, as well as the Su-14-2, the tier 7 Soviet self-propelled gun, the tier 7 American M12, the Chinese tier 4 light, the M5A1 Stuart, one of the original seal clubbing monsters. It is of course the Panzerkampfwagen 38H735F, as well as the tier 4 German Panzer 4D, the tier 6 German medium tank, the VK3001D, the glorious American tier 8 autoloader, the T69, the first ever British vehicle in the game, the Matilda Black Prince, one of the first ever premium vehicles that I think many of us pick up, the Churchill 3, and finally probably one of the most requested high definition tanks of all time. It is the good old Bachatillon 25T, looking good in all of its glory. And so boy, that about covers it. Wow, 920, probably one of the greatest content updates of World of Tanks of all time. Remember that the vehicles are going to be changed as well. I thoroughly recommend you either check the patch notes to be able to take a look at the statistical changes, or wait for my video where I'm going to discuss it and probably highlight what I think are going to be a few of the, should we say, up and coming tanks to watch out for. Either way, hopefully you enjoyed this video and it was useful to you. If it was, please give it a like. I'd really appreciate it, and let me know in the comments down below what you think about update 920. Are you excited for the Chinese tank destroyers? Are you excited for the revamped French auto-loading tank destroyers? Can you not wait to get on the battlefield and try the new 30 versus 30 game mode? Or are you sitting there twiddling your thumbs, getting ready to have to sacrifice your life to participate in another ranked battle season? And stay tuned to the channel, as this weekend I'm going to be releasing more videos with in-depth analysis about all of these features. There was just frankly too much to cover in depth in a single video. And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.